Hello, good morning. You're welcome to day 4 of our series on dealing with debt in the month of May. It's a Monday, we're back to business, and that's when we actually get down to business. And so today I'll be talking in depth about the debts list you created from what we discussed yesterday. I hope that when you were listing out the things you owed, the amounts you owed, you remembered to put debts owed to family members and friends. Yes, they are debts, even though no interest, and then the person is giving you more time, and you guys didn't even really fix a time for repayment like that. It's important that you do not lose sight of those who you owe. I have heard before that debt is what can turn a friend into an enemy. So when you owe a friend, it's important that you take it serious. Now, right after listing out all those things, we now need to discuss what you need to do. What you need to do is prioritize the debts in the order in which you're going to pay them. It's important that you list the debts from the smallest to the largest, though it's easier to remember the largest first, but list it all out. In dealing with them, it might make sense to begin to pay down your debts from the smallest to the largest. Why from the smallest? Because once you have paid one, you have motivation, you find strength, you find determination, and you actually look at the whole and believe that if you can take this one step and take out that little debt, you can actually go to the next stage and the next stage and take them all out. Sometimes, though, you might need to leave this formula for paying debts from the smallest to the largest and begin to think in another direction. And which direction is this? This is the direction of which debt has the highest interest. Now, the reason you need to pay attention to debt to the highest interest is because this debt has the power to become the largest debt in the long run. It means that the longer you keep that debt, the more it costs you at the end of the day. So if there's a debt that is snowballing, gradually becoming bigger as the time goes by, that's why I said when you're listing your debts, you must note those that have interest and their interest rates. Anyone that the interest rate is highest has to go out first, because that one is likely to cost you more in the long run. So irrespective of the size, irrespective of the person, you need to pay attention to debts with high interest rates. Now, there's another special type of debt that needs your attention, and that is the debt with the highest consequences. If you delay payment of this debt, what can go wrong? You know, sometimes the people you are owing, you yourself know that it might become a matter of life and death, and it is not a function of the amount. When you owe people like that, please, I beg you, just pay them back as soon as possible, even if it means taking a loan to take that out. But then, when you are thinking about the people you owe and what you owe, always remember that you need to consider interest rates, you need to consider size, you need to consider consequences, and you must always consider the nature of the person you are owing. It is extremely important. What helps you is your negotiating power. If there's a problem, there isn't enough money to pay all the debts, you need to keep in touch with everybody you are owing and make sure that each person knows that you are on top of it, you are doing something about it, and you will pay within the shortest possible time. Your credibility is extremely important, because when you say you will do it, you need to do it. Now, we'll continue to drive the car of dealing with debt tomorrow, but I want to say here that dealing with debt, extinguishing debt, is conscious effort. It takes deliberateness, it takes intentionality, and you need to decide that you're getting out of debt, because if you don't do that, you will not get out of debt. Let me cite an example. Anybody in debt will tell you that when they get free money, somebody just dashes you money, they don't pay down on the debt because it's not due. That tells you that they are accustomed, they're in their comfort zone when they're in debt. So what do you need to do? Anytime you get free money, go back to your priorities list for debts and begin to take them out. That is the only way to deal with the mentality of being in debt. Now, tomorrow we'll talk about creating a budget, because that is the way to, one, service your debts, two, know if you are even making enough money to meet up with your expenses, because if you are not, you will continue to go in a cycle of debt. So let's meet tomorrow and continue from there. See you then.